In the Bible, the mountains are a place of significant encounter with God. In the book of Exodus, we have Moses going up Mount Sinai, where he receives the 10 Commandments, the law of God for his people. In the first book of Kings, we have the prophet Elijah, who goes up Mount Horeb, and there God reveals himself, not in the powerful earthquake, the wind, or the fire, in this gentle breeze, the still small voice of God speaking to him. Jesus himself goes up the mountains to pray, sometimes spending a whole night there in prayer to his Father. So the mountains are this place of significant encounter with God. The Psalms even speak of the mountains. Psalm 24 says, "Who shall climb the mountain of the Lord? Who shall stand in his holy place? The man with clean hands and pure heart, who desires not worthless things." In Psalm 121, "I lift up my eyes to the mountains. From where shall come my help? My help shall come from the Lord who made heaven and earth." I love mountains. And I was recently blessed to go on holiday with my parents. And we were just by the Swiss border, close to the Alps. And from the little village that we were staying in, I could see Mont Blanc. And it was about a 2-hour drive away. But it was just so majestic, towering above everything else. And still, even in the middle of June in hot France, capped with snow. What is it about mountains that move us, that touch us, that speak to us of God? I think it's something about their majesty and their mystery. Something about their ancientness, and yet they're so visible to us. And so in the gospel that we hear, in the Feast of the Transfiguration, we see Jesus leading Peter, James, and John up a high mountain, we're told. So I don't think it was just for a hike. It's this place of encounter with God. So we hear in the gospel what happened. "And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became white as light. And behold, there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him." When the disciples heard this a little bit later on, they heard the voice of God speaking. A voice from the cloud said, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell on their faces and were terrified. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Rise and have no fear." My brothers and sisters, Peter, James, and John knew Jesus. At this point in the gospel, they've been with him for some time. But this was entirely new to them, this glimpse into his divinity. His face shining like the sun, his clothes white as light. Just pause for a minute and imagine that. Sometimes with the Gospels we get so familiar with something that's so astounding, really. They witness who Jesus really is, and then they hear the voice of the Father. "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." Listen to him. There's a wonderful part in a book by J.R. Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, the third book, Return of the King. The hobbits have been together with Strider, also known as Aragorn, who is a ranger. And Aragorn, or Strider, has led them and protected them and guided them on their journey. And then when they finally get to the end and the ring is destroyed and they're back, Aragorn is crowned king. I think it's king of Middle Earth. And I don't remember the exact passage, but it's beautiful because it says, "Suddenly they see who he is, the splendor of his bearing." They see really who Aragorn is. This man who they've been with for a long time. Suddenly they have this true glimpse of who he is. I think it was like that for the disciples on Mount Tabor. I love Peter's response. He says, "Lord, it's good that we are here. Shall I build 3 tents?" Basically, he wants to stay there. Let's stay here. Me, James and John, my good friends, you and Moses and Elijah, this moment of majesty. This privileged invitation to intimacy with the Lord. This was the point of the climb up the mountain. And brothers and sisters, we too are invited into this privileged invitation of intimacy with the Lord. It's an adventure that we call prayer. And it can seem a bit like climbing a mountain at first. If you've never prayed before, it's like, what do I do? What do I say? How do I do this? It can just seem like too far away, too difficult. But once we start, and we have to remember that Jesus is the one who led them. And he led them up the mountain by themselves. So the first thing I say is we have to make time for the climb. We have to make time for the climb, to allow space in our lives to enter into this privileged invitation of intimacy with the Lord. And there we begin the climb, we begin this relationship. And like climbing, prayer can at times feel a bit boring, monotonous, like nothing's happening, we're not getting anywhere. But just by being with Jesus in this time and this space, there's this opportunity for him to reveal himself to us. And this is the grace and the gift of prayer that really changes things for us. Because what did it do for Peter, James, and John? They saw this glimpse into his divinity. They saw something of his majesty. St. Peter would say, we were eyewitnesses of his majesty. And then when it came time for the cross, even though they ran, they still have this memory of who he is. Similar for us, in our sufferings, in our struggles, when we've really encountered the Lord, the cross can make a bit more sense because we know who he is. Just last night, I was in an event and a priest, one of our priests, was preaching and wonderful talk on the Father's heart. But to tell you the truth, I was a little bit tired and I wasn't particularly moved. But then one of the friars just slipped into this darkened chapel and just started playing a song on the guitar. And then suddenly I found myself lifted, my heart moved by this encounter with the Lord who's present on the altar. If I wasn't there, I wouldn't have experienced that. This is the gift of prayer. It's an invitation to intimacy. Brothers and sisters, if we don't make time for the climb, we don't get to experience the view. Jesus is the one who leads us up the mountain, this privileged invitation of intimacy. Let's ask for the grace to go there with him. God bless you.